This one's on an S plate. 4 Austin Metropolitans. Lovely example of the A40 pickup. These really were the forerunner of cars such as the A90 Atlantic. It's the 1957 standard companion of the SP250s, the Daimler Darts with a 2.5 litre V8 engine, private ambulance. We've got the Rover Streetwise here, which was a lifted up version. Absolutely immaculate. It's got a Stag V8 in it. Not too many of them around, especially in this condition. There's the Jack Brabham car care cards. Very neat little car, very original looking paint on that one. Well, good morning folks, welcome to the Old Classic Car channel. It is a Sunday morning and I am down at the British Motor Museum at Gaydon because today it is an event I haven't been to before. This is the BMC and BL day, so British Motor Corporation, British Leyland days, and leading into Austin Rover and Rover Group, etc, etc. So we're expecting to see lots of Austins, lots of Morrises, Wolseleys, all the BMC and BL era cars, and hopefully quite a few commercials. I'm expecting Morris Marinas, Morris Minors, Austin A35s, A40s hopefully. Hopefully we'll see 1 or 2 A40 here. And of course Triumphs, as we have here, an assortment of Triumph Acclaims. Of course by this point in time Triumph was very much part of the BL stable, and it's good to see such an assortment of lesser spotted Acclaims here today at Gaydon. The weather is unusually fine, so hopefully that'll boost attendance even further, so I think we should be in for a very, very excellent day. So let's have a bit of a mooch around. I'm here solo today. My youthful assistant is back home editing various videos. Yeah, the Triumph Acclaim, this was all part of a collaboration with Honda back in the day. But you don't see these too often at the car shows that we get to now, so let's just have a bit of a scoot around, see what cars we can see here. Must remember to try and take a few photographs as well, because yeah, these aren't cars that you see all that often. The last gasp of the Triumph car company really. Maybe one day the name will be reborn, who knows, but it kind of seems unlikely somehow. So all these preserved Acclaims are really preserving and keeping the name going of Triumph, certainly in the car world. Of course we still have Triumph motorcycles, but in terms of Triumph cars, they're pretty much consigned to history now, I think. Yep, I think we're going to be in for a great day. Outside the entrance to the main museum here at the British Motor Museum at Gaydon, we have a huge assortment of the old land crabs, the Austin, the Morris 1800s, the Wolseley derivatives, and so on. There are loads of them here. I've never seen so many in one place before. And to begin with, an ex-works land crab rally car, no less, SMO 223G, complete with spare wheels on the roof, a very natty spot lamp over here. Yeah. Surprising just how many of these ex-rally 1800s are still around. There are 1 or 2 in the museum itself, and this beauty outside as well, which I think is part of the museum's collection. Several of their vehicles have been wheeled outside, especially for today's BMC and BL day. There's another one over here, Paul Easter Rauno Altonen, the London to Sydney Marathon 1968, Henry Lydon as well. Just a huge assortment of 1800s. Here's quite an early one with the horizontal rear lights. This is how they were early doors. In fact, look at the whole row of them. Occasionally you see 1 or 2 with the early back end, but I've never seen this many. So we'll have to take many, many photographs before the day is over, just to record for posterity this huge gathering of Alec Isigonis' finest. Quite a large car even today, loads of space inside, course, Alec to go in this, responsible for the post-war Morris Minor and the Mini, and this, the 1800. Mate of mine's dad had one identical colour to that. He had an 1800S, the twin carb car. That was in the late 1970s. He bought it second-hand, HTU 880K. It was the registration number of the car that he had. And this one is immaculate. Transverse engine layout, just as in the ADO 16, the 1100, and the Mini, of course. What a treat to see so many 1800s. Arguably one of the models that perhaps you see less frequently, usually, at the general classic car shows that we get to. So it's good to set the record straight and see so many of them here today at Gaydon. Huge, roomy cars, and just like the Mini, the wheels positioned right at the end, right at the back, as far back as it'll go, a bit like the Citroen DS in many ways. The wheels on those are spaced right out at the end of the car to maximise interior space. Of course, front wheel drive, so you've not got much in the way of there's no transmission tunnel as such in these, and that gives you oodles of space. Yeah. Plenty of room for 3 or 4 across the back seat there. Yeah. Lots of lovely 1800s in really great condition. This one's for sale, complete with mini light wheels and racy, quick, well, there's 2 fuel filler caps on the back. And all the story is with that. Particularly fruity looking pair of exhaust pipes there too. Special tuning, BMC special tuning. Many mods inside as well. And over in the next row, another Austin 1800 for sale. And this is one of the later cars with the vertical rear lamps as opposed to the horizontal lamps of the earlier models over the back there. Maybe you've owned one of these back in the day. Maybe you own one now. Maybe one of your cars is actually featuring in this video. If your car is here today and it appears in the video, please pop a note in the comments and say hello. It's always good to hear from people who own the cars that feature in these particular videos. Some lovely maroon Morris example there. Now we've got one of the Wolseleys, twin carburetors, 6-cylinder engine, so that's the Wolseley 6. Again, transverse, quite a job shoehorning that engine in, but it's a nice wide car, so yeah, plenty of room to wedge it in there. Twin carbs, so I'm expecting we'll see quite a few of these 6-cylinder Wolseley 6s, and indeed the 4-cylinder 1885s. Yeah, there we go. Bit of info in the rear screen, which we approve of. 1973 Wolseley 6, owned by Austin ex-apprentice Rob Lewis from 73 to 77. 41,000 miles in 46 years. Plenty of restoration work's been done on that one, and probably to most of the cars we see here. Now we've got a Wolseley 1885, so the 4-cylinder car. Churnside World Champion Jim Clark, 1936 to 1968. As he ran a farm up at Duns, up in Scotland. Died at Hockenheim in an unimportant Formula 2 race. It's a race he didn't have to do. Sadly, he decided to take part. His car went off into the trees, and that was that, sadly. There is a memorial at Hockenheim, out in the trees, where the track used to run through the forest, which has all now been replanted. Another lovely Wolseley here. So we've got a matching pair of 1885s down there. And what's this example in black? And again, you can really see how the wheel, the rear axle line, is way back in the body shell. Again, to maximise the interior space. Look how big the back door is. Quite often, entry and exit of the back of a car is compromised by the curve in the back door to accommodate the wheel, which is usually sort of here. But on these, the wheel is so far back, there's very little in the way of a cutout for the rear arch on the back door. Plush wooden dashboard in there, lots of extra gauges. This Wolseley part over here features numerous modifications, not least a polished up set of Kent alloy wheels from a Jaguar XJ, either an XJ6 or an XJ12. Tinted windows as well. Tinted blue to match the colour of the paintwork. Yeah, very snazzy looking car. A left-hand drive example arrives, another early one. The Morris 1800, all the way from the Netherlands. So is that going to be parking up with the other early examples on the grass over here, I would imagine. Oh, certainly a very well travelled land crab. Immaculate automatic Wolseley over here, complete with BL mud flaps. We approve of that. But yeah, what a stunning assortment of cars. More Wolseleys, all with a little illuminated badge in the middle of the radiator there. That was a feature, I think, of pretty much every Wolseley. Certainly from the 1930s onwards, that kind of thing. We'll try and feature as many of them as we can here in this video. This one's registered in Staffordshire, so not a million miles away from where we're based. Of course, we are at Gaydon. In the 1970s, Gaydon was used as a test track by British Leyland and the companies that formed British Leyland. And here's an oddball Wolseley, a stretched one here, limousine with high roof. Definitely a car I have not clapped eyes on before. It seems strange to be walking around with that bright yellow thing in the sky. Certainly a novelty. Let's keep going around here. So you can see the comparison there, early on the right, slightly later here on the left. It's an N registered car. Continue our way around here, all different colours. This is something I miss with modern cars, all these different colours. Yeah, you've got all these incredible reds, maroons, browns, greens, greeny yellows. We've got a police variant here. I've got a feeling I've seen this one at Tatton Park, or at least one very, very similar to it. Quite a whizzy one here with full-length roof, noisy dog, alloy wheels. Yeah, so many different colours. This one's on road style wheels. Quick bit of polishing there. Of course, the one version of the 1800 that we never got here in this country when new was the Ute. Over in Australia, there was the Ute, or the utility, the coupe utility version of the 1800, and one or two of them have been imported into this country in more recent times, but it was a variant that was never sold here. Now whether there'll be one here today or not, I'm not quite sure. So there's that left-hand drive Morris. What a bobby dazzler that is. We've got 1800 here. Yeah, what a treat to see this one. Very well travelled indeed. Definitely makes a change to see a left-hand drive car here. We've got another one next to it from Belgium. Belgique, an 1800 Mark II S. So this is the variant that my mate's dad had way back in the 1970s, the 1800S with its twin carburettor 1800cc engine. And where is it? Now what on earth is this? The Austin Balanza. Wow. Wow, so where's this one coming from? I'm guessing the Netherlands again. Wow, I've never ever heard of that before. That is, wow, the Austin Bonanza. I've never seen or heard of that before.
Yeah.
So look at the information in the screen. Austin Bonanza 1800 Mark 1, 1965. Originally delivered new in the Netherlands, February 22nd, 1965. Wow.
And I was there in the caravan in the 1800s.
So we go and see.
Let's carry on our little wander around, a leisurely wander around. Some bits and pieces for sale on the floor here. You can never have too many bits and pieces. This time a left-hand drive Wolseley variant. I've never seen this style of trim. This must be an export only fitment. And again, over, I think, yeah, from the Netherlands. Oh, who'd have thought there'd be so many 1800s over in the Netherlands still? Well, if this is representative of all the club stands here today, yeah, it's definitely worth the trip down the M40 down here to Gaydon to visit this new to me and new to the Old Classic Car Channel show. Yeah, yes, this one I think I've seen at Tatton Park before now. I think we've seen most of the ones over the back there. So let's see what else we've got here today in addition to this wonderful array of Austin and Morris, etc. 1800s. Okay, well, next up we have the Austin Apache. So this was a South African built, booted version of the ADO 16, the Austin and the Morris 1100. So very different style of front end on these. Still got the wavy grille of an Austin, so that's common to the Austins that we get over here. But with this much more practical boot on it, much longer tail on it compared to your regular 1100s. So many different variants of course. Yeah, what a treat to see that one. And here, the Austin Victoria, which was very similar. And I think, well, where was this one? This one is Spanish registered. Little E in the back window tells us we're looking at a car from España. So yeah, so the Austin Victoria, complete with V badge on the rear quarter. So what colour is this? Harvest Gold, is it perhaps? Looks very similar to Dad's MGB. Yeah, what a treat to see that one as well. The Austin Victoria, built at the Orthi, is that how you pronounce it, factory in Pamplona, Spain, from 1972 to 1974. Restyled front and rear end, styled by Michelotti no less, the man behind so many Triumphs such as the Herald and the Vitesse, and the Triumph Spitfire, of course. Yeah, what a treat to see these two very, very rare variants here today at Gaydon. Let's carry on our scoot round here past the uber rare Austin Victoria. Somewhat variant of Allegro who we're looking at here. This one's on an S plate. Just the kind of car I remember at the local British Leyland garage that we had just around the corner from where I grew up. This is obviously quite a posh one, the LE, all the stripes, all the blingy bits, the vinyl roof as well. That was a sign that you were looking at one of the more upmarket variants of a car back in the 70s and well into the 1980s. Even got a tow bar on it and proper Allegro mud flaps. Yeah, this colour is more often seen on the Van den Plas 1500. Many of the 1500s that you see with the funny sort of grille on the front seem to survive in this colour. It's a very sharp looking colour. I like the colour a lot. Yeah, this is definitely one of the upmarket Allegros. I can see quite a few standards here today as well over the back there, so we'll gradually work my way over that way. Got another Allegro here with one of those groovy rear window louver type things. Also popular in the 70s and well into the 1980s. Right, and here we have the Morris 1100 Estate. So the 1100 Traveller. It's got some wood effect down the side. Was that a thing, or was that been added afterwards? Not quite sure. But yeah, beautiful example. And the old picnic set in the back. What a bonny wee car that is. Right, we've got an MG ZS here. I'll try and show a little bit of everything in this video, but we will be prioritising as always the older cars on the Old Classic Car channel. I've got the Riley Kestrel, that's a name that goes back to the 1930s, and it was dusted down for the Riley badged version of the ADO 16. The Immaculate Maxi. I'm approving of all these correct mud flaps. They must be quite hard to find there. This one's got the sort of in-period clip-on head restraints. Look at that. A55 ambulance. The very first Maxis, they did suffer a little bit with reliability. In particular, it was cable operated gear change on the early Maxis, and that didn't do wonders for the reliability, so I think that was swiftly altered fairly early on in production. This is a 1974 Maxi 1750, finished in teal blue with autumn leaf interior. There's the info if you want to pause the video. Have a quick read of that. It's in beautiful condition, like so many of the cars that are here today. It's a little MG Metro driving in over the back there, representing the Austin Rover era. And what's this? A convertible version, somewhat modified 1967 Austin 1100. So who's responsible for this? Was this done in period? I'm guessing it's not a Crayford, because they often had the frame over sort of behind the seats. Wow. So there's definitely a story behind this one. It's got a Jensen badge on it. I know Jensen did do some coach work for other companies back in the day. They did the bodies for the early P1800 Volvos. But are they behind this conversion as well? We'll have to see if we can find out a bit more about this one. Well, over here we have an Austin badge version in conventional form with roof. Apologies for any reflections of yours truly. I'm trying to avoid them where I can. Over here, a gaggle of lovely minis. There's some really interesting early minis here, and I suspect one or two have got quite the past. This one here's got an original 1963 Monte Carlo rally plaque pop riveted to the boot lid. I'm guessing this has some period rally history. Downton tuning badge on there. Last time I saw one of those badges was on the back of an MG CGT that regularly turns up at some of the car meets back over our way. Clearly a very historic little car, this one. It's just got the Mini Cooper shiny surrounds on the doors. Oh, I love the old helmet there. A fly on my hand. Right, and the proper Dunlop racing overalls there, the pudding basin helmet, the driver's gloves, proper old lap belts as well. Look at that steering wheel just peering in through the slidey windows, and yeah, that's really cool. See the double L at the bottom there. That's LL for Les Leston. Himself a bit of a racing driver back in the day, and then he produced his own huge range of period sort of rally modifications, tuning modifications and parts, including these beautiful steering wheels, many extra gauges, navigational gear as well. Yeah. Timo Mäkinen. What a great little car, that Austin Mini Cooper. So the bonnet's now up on the Mini, Downton tuned. So, I mean, what is the story of this car? Clearly it's got quite an interesting past.
Well, it was originally owned by Liz Jones, who at the time sent it straight to Downton. And Downton tuned, prepared it and entered it in competition for the first year of its life in 1962.
So that was Daniel Richmond, wasn't it?
Daniel and Bunty, yeah. And then she entered it in the 1962 RAC, came third in the ladies' prize behind Liz Jones and Sylvie Osterberg. Sorry, behind Pat Moss and Sylvie Osterberg, I'm talking about. And then it did the Monte Carlo in 63. Sadly got timed out at the last checkpoint before Monte Carlo. But it survived all these years. Body's basically the original car.
Is it?
I've had the front wings changed. It's got the original front panel. Wow. It's got original floors, boot. It's had A panels done and the sills, but basically everything else is as it was, just lots of panel beating.
So it's a restored original shell as opposed to just a reshell, because so many of them are just reshelled.
No, it's the original car. Wow. As I say, I bought it direct from Liz Jones, who was a friend of my mother. I bought it as a 17-year-old student, and I've still got it now, and I'm 69. So
you're just about getting to grips with it then?
There's always something.
There's certainly a lot of mods going on under here, aren't there? Wow, I mean, what's this? Is like an extra breather or something on the rocker cover?
Downton added that.
Did they?
As a breather. Wouldn't be allowed these days, but...
No. Proper old champion plug caps, Lucas Sports Coil, twin SUs on the back there for the trumpets.
A lot of it's original. Obviously the coil wouldn't have been in those times, but...
it's all in period stuff though, isn't it? And
everything's period.
Got the lamps on the front here. And I do love all these things in the window. So you say there's a fair bit of history, paperwork-wise, is there? Look at all this. Crystal Palace, Paddock Pass, 1964, Snetterton, Aintree. Home to the British Grand Prix at one time. That's what, July 1962.
Yeah, support race at the Grand Prix.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
She came fourth in her class.
Really? And all the paddock passes as well, hanging up just off the mirror. We like all that kind of thing. Can we have a quick peer inside? That'd be great though. What a lovely little car.
No. This is exactly how it would have been when it started the Monte Carlo in 63.
We've got all the original carpets, the original mats.
Never bothered changing the carpets.
No. It's got one of those Hellfoss lamps there for lighting up the signs at night, isn't it? Yeah. Wow.
It's even got Liz Jones' old...
Are they hers, are they? Wow, so I was looking at those before, I didn't realise they were... And there's a tiny little BMC fire extinguisher over the side there as well.
Fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
It's got the original tyre gauge, BMC tyre gauge and
That's it.
brake adjusting spanner.
Wow, so just as it would have been in the early 1960s. It's amazing, it survived, isn't it?
Is that it's got seat belts. It never had seat belts.
It's got the old lap belts. These are nice, aren't they? Really? Wow. It's just amazing it survived. So had it been off the road a while when you found it then? Or?
Well, when I bought it from Liz, she'd had it in her garage. She had it at her home, and it was in her garage 7 or 8 years, doing nothing really.
Really?
And then she was getting divorced, moving from Buckinghamshire to Wales.
Yeah.
She was a friend of my mother's, and at the time I raced and did night rallies in minis, and she just said, do you want the car?
So did you carry on doing that kind of thing with it for a while? Or?
I drove it for a while, until 81, and then I had a fire behind the dashboard.
Oh, right.
And rolled it into the back of my parents' garage where it stood for 20 years.
And that's how it survived, didn't it, really?
And that's how it survived. And
wow.
Sadly, when I had to clear the garage when my father died, I found this and a 1071S in there as well.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. All these... Yeah. carry on our mini stroll along this gaggle of amazing minis, and we've got CRX 88B and Austin Cooper S here with the 1965 Monte Carlo rally plaque, the original rally plaque fitted to this one. You can see the heating element in the screen for demisting, because ventilation wasn't great on the minis with the slidey windows. CRX 88B, and there it is. Back in the day, this one, Rauno Altonen, Henry Liddon, Rally de Genève, LRX 829E from 1967. Great that so many of these old mini rally cars and race cars, circuit cars, have survived. This one's unusual because it had a history rallying and circuit racing as well. So yeah, and how has that survived? That's just incredible. You've got GRX 309D here, another historic rally car with a 66 plaque on the dashboard, on the bonnet rather. .569 FMO, another of the works cars, the Morris Mini Cooper S, twin SUs. Some really historic minis here. Slightly later on, a 1275 GT. Another one from alongside it there. 977 ARX. 1962 RAC Rally of Great Britain. 63 Monty. Coupe des Alpes, same year. Another one over here. What do we have there? This one from 1966. Let's just have a quick scoot round the back here. So again, Cooper S, twin tanks, that was an option on the Cooper S's. D plate, 66. BMC mud flaps, that's good. Who remembers these stick-on demister pads for the rear window? I used to have one of those in my Austin A40. Even more minis. Let's go back down that row again. Let's see if I can sneak through. The Mark 1 here, is this Austin 7, I wonder? Just another competition car. Racing 61, the end of 61 at Brands Hatch, then in 62 Snetterton, Silverstone, Goodwood, Aintree, Brand, Castlecombe, Alton Park again in 63, Mallory, Brands, and back at Alton Park in September of 63. Again, another much raced mini. There it is back in period. Lots of understeering evidence. Austin Cooper, this one's been fitted with twin tanks. Bit of extra endurance. Built September 26th, 1961, dispatched the 11th of October 61 to Ansties Limited, Tunbridge in Kent. First registered 21st November 61. I was to be a racer. First owner, Anthony Rutt.
Historic cars.
Many more minis. Another one here with a 68 Monte Carlo Rally plaque on it. One of the later Mini Coopers here when they were sort of reimagined back in the late 80s. Another X-Works rally car, CRX 510B 1964 Mark 1 Mini Cooper S, a Morris Mini Cooper S. We'll head over to that side of the roadway later, but let's carry on our looker over here. And this row is headed up by 4 Austin Metropolitans, or the Nash Metropolitan as the early cars were known, because these were built on behalf of Nash for the American market. The early cars didn't have an opening boot lid. I'm guessing this is one of them. Pretty wacky looking little car, B-Series powered, so under the bonnet is your traditional, your regular B-Series engine, a little 4-cylinder unit, the Metropolitan Owners Club. This one's a bit of TLC, the young lady, or a mannequin of a young lady, doing a bit of TLC on that one. But yeah, great cars, and these were really weird because the door panel was interchangeable. You could fit that door if you just re-drilled the trim strips and re-drilled the outer door handle. That door could actually be fitted on the other side, and there can't be too many cars that you can say that about. Yes, symmetrical doors. I guess that cut down on production costs somewhat. Yeah, what a bonkers car. So this is a convertible version with the roof raised. Next to that we have another convertible, this time with the roof down, so we can have a proper peer inside just to see what's going on. The great extra little lamp there. These were very popular with people who did sort of nighttime car club rallies. You could sort of angle them to illuminate the signs at night. Ooh, great, all looks very BMC, very Austin-like in here. That Speedo, the steering wheel, everything looks very, very Austin. Column gear change. It's amazing how close the column shifter is to the dash, actually. I've never noticed that before, but you're within about an inch of grazing. Well, I suppose if you grabbed it there, you'd be grazing your knuckles against this here, the tuner for the radio, a built-in radio no less. Very neat indeed. What a treat to see those two here today. And alongside them, 2 examples of the fixed head coupe version. So you could have your open top version, perhaps if you were buying in California. But if you were buying a little closer to home, then maybe you'd want one with a fixed roof. And both of these 2 examples here have got the opening boot lid. I like this, the spare wheel cover.
Yes, this came from Kentucky.
Wow, aren't they great? Such bright, cheerful colours as well, these are. Look at the mascot. What's that from? What's that been lifted off? Pretty sure that's not original Austin or Nash. Well, this is a Nash example. So the early cars were produced on behalf of Nash, and then later ones, Austin decided to actually sell them here as the Austin Metropolitan. There you go. An unlikely partnership in the early 50s, Austin of England and Nash. So right-hand drive examples became available in 1957. There we go. Really groovy. Now, this is a car I've seen here and elsewhere over quite a few years. It's a lovely example of the A40 pickup. So when these were first introduced, they were contemporary of the A40 Devon, and indeed the 2-door Dorset, which you don't see too many of. I wonder if we'll see one of those here today. Well, this is a beautiful early pickup. Very similar looking at the front to the A40 Devon. We used to have a 49 Devon, and I had a pair of pickup trucks at one time. Differences to the saloon, well, you've got a larger cutout and the front wheel arches, the wings on the front of the pickups and the vans, the arches are slightly larger, and you've got slightly bigger, beefier wheels as well on the commercial versions. But this one just looks stunning in this Austin service livery. It's got a little J40 pedal car in the back as well, but that is beauty. So this is a 1950, so this will be a floor change. The later ones changed to column gear shift when the Austin A40 Somerset car, which in fact we have one here. So when the A40 Somerset car came along, Austin carried on producing the vans and the pickups, and indeed the Countryman Estates, based on the earlier Devon styling. So that's what we're looking at there. And the Somerset had column gear shift, same, very similar chassis to the Devon that came before. And the commercials, that is when they switched to the column gear shift. And they also switched to like a painted sort of grille bars, much simpler grille on the later A40 vans and pickups compared to early ones like this. But this, it's just a stunning little truck. I love this little thing. It's great, 1200cc. I do wonder if some of the export versions had a slightly larger engine. Maybe an early version of the B series. These had the pre-B series 4-cylinder engine, the engine that would become the B series. Quite prone to head gasket failures, if I remember correctly. I had to do that on my Somerset and my Devon on more than one occasion. Yeah, and here's a great little Austin J40 in the back, the little pedal car built from offcuts from the main Longbridge Austin factory. An interesting little nerdy fact on these: there were two sort of eras of J40 pedal car. The early ones were much heavier. I think the steel was a much heavier grade, and they also had the Flying A on the bonnet. Later J40s, they're made from a slightly lighter gauge of metal, and as a result they are a bit lighter. So if you're going to race in the Setterington Cup at Goodwood, you want one of the later ones with the lighter weight panels. Right, let's carry on down here. This great A40 Somerset, quite a rotund design. These were often criticised back in the day for being a little bit underdamped. They were a bit prone to sort of, when you braked hard, they sort of, but you know, probably no difference in many cars. And then there was the A70 Hereford, which was like the bigger brother to the A40 Somerset. Talking of bigger brothers to the A40 Somerset, we've got this, the Austin A90. This is the drop head coupe version, and I've got a funny feeling I had quite a lengthy chat to the owner of this one at a Weston Park classic car show just a year or two back. Certainly looks familiar. What a glorious car, designed by Austin with the idea of tackling the American market. And the Americans didn't really take to it, despite the lashings of chrome, badges and the glitz and the glamour, these jolly metallic paint finishes. The Americans just didn't really take to them. Probably not big enough or powerful enough for the American market, so they didn't really do that well here. And here, of course, we still had petrol rationing, and things were pretty tough following World War II for quite a long time, so I don't think too many of them sold here either. They also did the fixed head versions as well. There's a real mixture of British cars here, all sorts, from the BMC of the early 1950s, the British Motor Corporation, right through to the 1990s and the final days of the Rover Group, as it became known. This magnificent motor car is the Austin 16. Looks very much like a pre-war car, but these were built post-war, about 1947-ish, I think they were introduced. So these really were the forerunner of cars such as the A90 Atlantic. Really smart looking car, similar era to our old V8 Pilot, which is 1950. This could be 47, 8, 9, maybe 50. Yeah, lovely car. We saw a lovely one of these. I think it was the New Year's Day gathering we went to this year. Yeah, very handsome car indeed. And we mentioned A70 Herefords before, and that's what we're looking at here. So this was the even larger version, or rather sort of sold alongside the Austin A40 Somerset. Bigger engine, much more modern styling compared to the Austin 16 that came before. And you can see the family resemblance to the Somerset is pretty clear. The grills are slightly different. I mean, the car is much bigger, but the grills along the bottom of the main radiator grille is slightly different. Those horizontal slats, they're different. And the A70 Hereford also had these oval sort of badge type air vents on the side there, just close to the windscreen. Windows open, so let's have a peer inside. Column change, of course, like I said before. That was a standard thing on these. Again, like the A40 Somerset, quite bulbous styling. Very different to what came before. Let's carry on round here. And this is a real rarity, because next to the A70 Hereford car, we've got an A70 Hereford drophead coupe. So not an Atlantic, not the A90 Atlantic. Well, at first glance, certainly from the side, it looks a bit like one. And no, this is the A70 Hereford drophead coupe, still on its original registration number as well. So this has got like a 3-position drophead roof, so you could have it fully up as it is here, or you could just roll back the forward part to give open air motoring to the people lucky enough to be sat in the front here. Or you could have it all the way back down, and presumably these little windows, presumably they come down. Yeah, what a rare car that is. How has that survived? There's one quick battery change later, and we carry on down this road past the A70 Hereford Saloon and this incredible drophead coupe version. Now we are going somewhat more up to date. The back end of the 1950s, and Pininfarina was drafted in to come up with a design for the next generation of BMC cars, and this is one of the first, the Austin A55 Cambridge Mark II. Of 1959 to 1961 these were built. So this had the 1489cc 4-cylinder engine in it. There'd also be the Morris Oxford, and then you'd have your Wolseley's MG Magnets, all these different variants. Badge engineering really took off, especially with BMC when the Farinas came along, such as this. There's the Mark II Cambridge, fantastic car. We used to have one of these. Yeah.
Was yours an early one?
Yeah, it was a 59 with a big fins.
2 dots over the eyes on the boot.
Well, I don't know. Dots over the eyes. So what are we looking at? Oh, I see. Sorry, can I just pull that down a little bit? Oh, I see the little stars.
Yeah.
So what does that tell us?
Well, they did very early 59, because they deleted them after a few months.
Did they? So that's a sign of a really, really early one.
Yes,
You know, I've never noticed those before.
Well, if you go down to the Oxford Owners Club, there's only one vehicle that's got them, and he got them because he put them on
Wow.
extra.
Wow.
That's one that's the same colour as this.
Wow, that's incredible. Even got Herbert Austin keyring there, sir.
Yes, indeed.
Great stuff. And the old,
Yes.
what's this, a picnic set or is it a record player?
Brexton.
Oh, it's a little Brexton. Yeah, that's good. All very, very in keeping. Nice one. Yeah. Oh, you've got an Evershaw filler can.
Yes.
These are the. Can I just have a quick look at it?
Yeah, yes.
These are the. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
These are the best filler cans ever made,
They're very good, aren't they?
because they've got, you can't leave home without a spout, because the spout is the handle.
Exactly.
So you ping that
And you
open.
put it at any angle, so you
That's
don't,
it. You don't
have to
spill
worry how
it.
full can. No, that's
When I used to have a Spitfire, I used to use one of these.
yeah. I mean, that obviously holds the petrol well, because it's not spilling
Yeah,
at all.
yeah, and so you sort of ping this little thing
That's
off.
right.
The spout folds
That's
that way,
it.
and then there's a little gauze in it as well, isn't there, to stop any muck going. It's a very, very clever. And these were used on the Works rally cars by BMC.
Were they?
Yeah, they used to use the 2-gallon version of these in the back of the Minis.
Right, because I mean they're very robust.
Yeah.
They're good quality.
Yeah, no, it's a really great to see this one here today. No, that's lovely. That is. Thank you. Yeah, this brings back. Oh yes, let's have a smell inside. That takes me back. Yeah. Very, very distinctive smell, sort of old oil vinyl. So this is a super early one. I never realised that little thing about the stars on top of the Austin Cambridge badge on the back. And it's got the flying A in the centre of the bonnet there. So that's a really early 59 Austin Cambridge, the A55 Mark II. Now, standard. Now, as you may have realised, I do have a soft spot for standards. Obviously, we've got a little 1956 Standard 8 sat at home. I had it out only yesterday evening. We took it for a bit of a spin with my youthful assistant. This is its big brother, the Standard Vanguard. KOR 394. This is a beautiful estate or station wagon version of the Phase. Now, is this Phase 1A or the Phase 2? Because they all had that slightly revised grille. But either way, it's just a great thing. Same shape as the van. They did a van version. So it's a 52 standard Vanguard estate. Yeah, 2088cc engine. So that was similar to that used in the early Triumph TRs, the TR2 and the TR3. It was adapted and used in the early grey Fergie tractors as well. Yeah, great that is. And look at this, a standard Vanguard 6. Very, very neat. I would like an estate version of one of these, I must admit. So that's just the Vanguard. The Vanguard 6 is next door. This is the 4-cylinder Vanguard, so an engine very similar to that of this 1952, but much sharper styling by this point in time. I think this was the Vanguard Vignale, so it's like a revised version of the Phase 3 Vanguard. This is a real test of my memory now with regards to old standard motor cars, but yeah, very, very nice. Slightly different roof line compared to the earlier Phase 3s, deeper windscreen, lots of other detail differences as well. This one's got a fine assortment of badges on the front, just for a bit of extra bling, and very nice too. And next to it, the Vanguard 6, the 6-cylinder car, that in many ways really laid the way for the first of the Triumph 2000s. What a treat to see so many standards here today, because you had Standard and Triumph. Standard bought out Triumph after the Second World War, but in the early 60s they actually dropped the Standard name, they dropped their own name and continued with the Triumph name. And this is a lovely pre-war Standard, probably a 9 I would have thought. Lovely, lovely car. Another example, similar age alongside it. Great to see they've both got their original registrations on them still. The number plate pirates haven't got to these, fortunately. But yeah, what a cracking pair of pre-war Standards. I do like these a lot. But I'm a bit of a sucker for pre-war cars anyway, so yeah, what a lovely old dash in there. Driving a pre-war car is like nothing else. You can drive a car from the 50s and it feels old, but if you drive a pre-war car, or indeed a vintage car of the 20s, it's like night and day difference again. So it's great to see these two here today. Now, just 1 year newer than our little Standard 8 at home is this, the 1957 Standard Companion. This one in quite a vivid shade of metallic green. I do like these little estate cars a lot. I used to have one of these. One of the very late ones. It's about a 61, I think mine was. It was like a cream and brown sort of colour. Not the best colour, but it was just such a usable little car. It was a lot later than this. It had a slightly different front wings, same as those fitted to the Pennant, which was based on the Standard 10. But yeah, these little estates are so rare. The estate car version, and unlike say Austin, they didn't just take the van version, the van body, and panel it in and make it into an estate car like Ford did when they did the 100E Escort. They just took the Thames van version, the 300E, panelled in, or left the windows uncut out and made a van. This body was unique to the estate, so it's a 4-door, it's not a 2-door, and it's not a van, because the van version, you've got the roof comes here, and then when you've got the hump for the load bay, it sort of goes up and then goes back. So it's a totally different body, and of course the van isn't a 4-door anyway. So this body was unique to the Companion estate, and that's what makes these such special little cars. I think they're really, really neat indeed. 948cc engine, same as that fitted to the early Triumph Heralds. An evolution of the 803 unit that made its debut in the Standard 8 in the early 1950s, about 1953 I think it was. Oh yeah, very familiar interior. That brings back a few memories as well. Just really enjoying seeing so many of these cars that I've owned examples of in the dim and distant past. Now mine had a one-piece rear door. This has two separate rear doors. Next to that great little Companion, we have an estate car version of the Vanguard. This is a Vignale estate from 1959. One thing I remember about these is, in these drop down, it's got like a split tailgate, so the top bit goes up and the bottom bit goes down. There's a huge hefty toolkit built in to that panel, so when you drop that down, there's a lovely toolkit. You open a flap and all the tools are beautifully laid out in there, so that's something I remember about those. And next we have a great little standard here as well. That standard, presumably a 10. Let's have a look at the front just to be doubly sure. It's an 8, it's a late 8. It's an 8, a very, very late 8 with the opening boot lid. So that's a bit of a rarity. The early 8s, when they first came out, of course, they didn't have a boot lid, and they also had pop-up semaphores, which by this point in time are gone, and the slidey little door windows. But this is a very, very late one. So I'm guessing this is quite a late one with the boot.
Standard 8 Gold Star.
The Gold Star, is it? Right. Yeah, because I've got a 56 at home with the no boot, as nearly all of them had. So this has got to be quite unusual then.
Almost a standard 10 body shell.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. No, that's great. That is. So what year would this one be?
57.
57. Right. Yeah. Oh, that's great. That is. Oh, nice one. Thank you. All right, let's go and have a quick peek under the bonnet then. Compare it to ours back at home, which is somewhat less shiny than this one, but same bonnet arrangement, no interior bonnet catch on. Oh, that's quite some air filter on there, isn't it? Wowzers.
1500cc Triumph engine.
Oh, is it?
It's exactly the same block.
Yeah, it's the old SC unit, wasn't it? Yeah.
And he's got, because it's a 1500, it's a Spitfire.
Yeah.
It's got the twin choke Weber carburettor.
Oh, grief.
And because he's got a twin choke carburettor, that's the twin choke air filter off a Cortina.
Is it?
Mark 2.
And brake servo as well. By heck. Oh, there's a few mods in there, so I bet this goes quite well with a 1500 in it. I mean,
It keeps up traffic quite
yeah.
easily.
Is it the original gearbox, or has it got overdrive?
It's got a Vitesse gearbox, which means it's just got synchro on first.
Oh, I see.
So it's got synchro on all gears.
Well,
And the reason it looks wide out the wheels and everything is that it's got a Dolomite 1500 axle.
Oh, is it?
And that's 3 inches wide, or a couple of inches wider than the original one.
And that goes under, does it? Wow. Just about, yeah.
It's just been had the parts been raided from a few years.
Yeah. This is what my lad wants to do with ours. He's got visions of putting a Spitfire engine.
Yeah.
Does it go in fairly easily then? Do you have to modify the sump or anything? Or?
Nothing. It fits perfect.
Does it?
All you have to do to fit this engine is you got a cradle, which you can see.
Yeah, because it drops down with the engine, doesn't it, underneath?
Well, that's the cross member. But there's a bracket. You can't really see down there.
Right.
It bolts to the front of the engine plate.
Oh, I see.
And what you have to do, you have to take the engine plate off the standard 8 one,
Yep.
or standard 10,
Yeah.
fit it to whichever engine you fit, then put the timing chain and everything back on.
Oh,
And that
see,
will
right,
then
yeah.
bolt to the cradle.
So you don't have to modify anything on the
No,
car?
everything, all the holes line up.
Does it?
It's the same engine.
Yeah.
All the holes are the same.
Yeah, they just stretched it out a bit, didn't they? Yeah. Well, that's really, really neat. So what's that, 14 something? I can't remember what it was now, 1496 was it or something?
Yeah,
or
1494.
something.
I think,
Was it 4, was it? Yeah. No, that's great, that is.
Yeah, it goes alright.
I bet it does, yes.
And disc brakes.
Disc brakes as well, so what are they off a Spitfire, are they?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really, really neat. Well, isn't that a lovely little standard? A real treat. 1500 engine, Dolomite back axle, disc brakes, and it's even got a steering rack conversion on it. Not that you'd ever guess any of this from the outside, so yeah, I know someone who would like that. Right, let's carry on along here and we move on from Standard to Triumph, which, like I say, Triumph was actually bought out by Standard in the sort of late 40s after Second World War. And of course this is Triumph during the British Leyland era, and we have a huge assortment of Triumph Stags here. All, or pretty much all with their roofs down. I can't see any with hard tops on, but you know, that's good to see. Bit of confidence in the weather, which has been less than admirable of late, but today it is a beautiful day. So loads of Stags here. Let's carry on down here. Of course, there's all that amazing assortment of Austin and Morris 1800s. That was just incredible. Let's carry on round here. I've got a real variety of British classics over the back here, so let's go and have a work along that row and see what gems we can spot along there. This row is headed up by a 1964 Triumph Herald. It's quite a nice one. So what would that be, 1147cc? I think by that point in time, as the earlier Heralds, they had a handle in the middle of the bonnet up there, and they also said Herald across the front as opposed to Triumph. So this is a saloon, as styled by Michelotti, as I said before. These, the Spitfires, the Vitesses, very nice, with the evolution of the old standard 10 engine. And this is the Triumph Renown, the razor edge styling. I think it always looked a bit happier on the Renown compared to the earlier Triumph Mayflower.
Yeah. And then I want to
That's all very subjective, isn't it? TR7 Drophead Coupe, Triumph Dolomite here on Sprint Alley wheels. It's got the D badge on the rear quarter, so I'm guessing it's not actually a Sprint, but it just looks a bit like one, but very nice. And the Mark II Triumph 2000 here, set off by some mini light style wheels and the full length sunroof, very nice too. Stag bonnet up on this 2.5 PI saloon, the Mark II.
Does it by satellite? Yeah, it just reflects.
It's got the Lucas fuel injection similar to that on the TR5 and TR6. A Vitesse convertible. Someone commented on the video just yesterday that we don't see many Triumph Vitesses in the videos we do, so here we go, the Vitesse convertible. Alongside that's the GT6 Mark II, my favourite of all the Triumph GT6s. This introduced the Rotoflex rear suspension. These and the Vitesse Mark II had the much modified rear suspension in a bid to quell the tendency for the earlier cars to used to get the sort of lift off. The back wheels would jack up and they'd all go a bit pear-shaped, and you'd end up pointing the wrong way on the roundabout, as I did on several occasions in mine. This is a Triumph 2000 or 2.0. It's an injection badge, so it's a 2.5 PI, the Mark I saloon. That's a rare old girl, that is. Some lovely Triumphs here. What a treat the show is. I've never been here before. A 2.5 injection Mark II saloon there with those great Lucas Square 8 lamps, as they call them. Some more modified TR7 here, I'm guessing V8 powered. Very V8 powered. 4.6 litres. What was this? Yeah, I bet that bobs along. And we got a TR7 fixed head alongside it. Stag here. Dolly. I do like Dolomites. I think they're quite a handsome looking car. I could see the youthful assistant in one of those one day. I've got a Spitfire 4 here, the Mark IV rather. 1300 engine. And the end of the row here, another example of the Triumph Acclaim. We saw several of these. And the first cars we saw as we came in this morning was a whole gaggle of Triumph Acclaims, and here's another one on the end of this row here. Let's carry on along here, and again we'll try and sort of focus on mostly the older cars, but we'll try and feature just a bit of everything. Now this is a late Mark III on an H plate. So there were a few detailed differences with the late Mark IIIs as opposed to the earlier Mark IIIs. The late ones, they had like a Triumph badge just in the corner, whereas the earlier cars had this lettering across the front. But this one's got the matte black screen surround of the late one. Now, has it got the different backlights and badging? So this has got the earlier style rear light arrangement. It's indeed bumpered, this one. The later Spitfires, or the late Mark IIIs, they had like a blockier, chunkier number plate light with the reverse lights incorporated into this sort of quite big moulding that was on here. Yeah, happy memories of running around in one of those. You can just see a little bit of the wheel tuck under there. That was a thing with the independent rear suspension on these and the Heralds. And if you lifted off during a bit of brisk cornering, you could easily find the back end of the car lifting up, the wheels tucking under, and you spinning around. Right. So what we got here? An Astra. That's not really BL, is it? So we'll miss that one out. Go past this very smart white Stag. What's this? A 2500S, and this has got the 2.5 litre straight six on carburettors, whereas the PI, of course, had the Lucas fuel injection. Love the exhaust on that. I bet that sounds glorious. Vitesse over here, and a Vitesse convertible. So yeah, well represented here today. 2 litre straight six. The early ones were 1600. Another little spitty here behind the TR7 with the V8 power plant. And what do we have over here? We have a Herald 1360. And what's that colour called? I always called it Zircon, but I'm not sure if that's the right colour for it. And there's a Vitesse convertible alongside that. Of course, these body shells, they all bolted onto a separate chassis. The Heralds and the Vitesses were quite unusual, really, for the late 50s and the 60s, in that they had a separate chassis. There weren't many cars at that time that still featured that style of construction. There's only really cars like the Land Rovers and stuff like that by then. Yeah. That's a rare car, that Mark 1 2.5 PI. A lovely Mark II GT6 here, very nice. I think these are beautiful little cars with the early style rear lights. I think they really do look the part. The Dolly 1500 HL alongside that. One of the later Spitties, a 1500. The Triumph Toledo. It's a 2-door saloon. It's not often you see clean ones of these now. Spitty, the Mark III version of the GT6. This one fitted with the Cosmic alloy wheels. It's got a different back end styling compared to that Mark II's we were looking at before. A real gaggle of Triumphs here. The Spitfire Mark IV here with a 1296cc engine. There's that TR7 drop head and the Triumph Renown, a lovely Triumph Renown. Let's have another quick look at this actually, because it's not a common sight at all. Acres of wood. It's even got a partition in this. Did they all have a partition between the front and the rear compartments? I don't think they all did. If you know your Triumph Renowns, please let me know. But what a lovely wooden dash in that one. Very nice, very rare car, that one. Okay, Dolly Sprint here, the 16-valve Triumph Dolomite Sprint. Let's continue our way around here. Well, on the end of this row, a Triumph 2000 Mark II, again, in estate form. Now, is this the one that we see? It is the one that we see sometimes at Crew Heritage. I've just spotted the owner of this one. Yeah, I thought it looked familiar. I recognise the blood donor stickers in the windows. And look at this fantastic old Daimler. The Daimler Conquest Drophead Coupe of 1955. That's a proper, really nice car, that is. Very traditional, the old Daimlers and the Lanchesters. Pre-selector gearbox. There's the selector on the side of the box there. We've talked about those before, and Daimlers, pre-war Rileys, some Armstrong Sidleys as well. Look at that stunning dash and those seats. Wow. What an incredible car that is. Let's have a quick walk around here. Bit of info in the screen as well. One of only 250 made between 54 and 56 at Radford. Now here's a very special bit of kit. This is incredible. This is a mobile, well, most of them were built as mobile training vehicles for BMC, later British Leyland, and a small percentage of them were actually built originally as racing car transporters, and they carried some of the works minis, that kind of thing. This is in a slightly later livery, in a British Leyland livery, special tuning. Let's go and have a look. I nearly bought one of these ones. It's quite an incredible thing. Yeah, most of them were mobile training vehicles. Few were built as transporters, and quite a few of the mobile training vehicles have been latterly converted into racing car transporters, and this one, and look, it's got the, if you think you've seen those rear lights before, those are off the very early Farina, sort of 59 Morris Oxford. So the Morris version of the Austin Cambridge Mark II that we were looking at before. And what an incredible vehicle that is. You can just imagine having a Mini in there. But yeah, I do have a soft spot for old car transporters. Now, whether this has always been a transporter or whether it started out as one of the many mobile servicing vehicles, they used to train mechanics, not just here in the UK but overseas as well. So they used to have like a fully equipped workshop in the back there, and they'd train the dealer mechanics on how to work on the current cars that they could expect to come in for servicing at their garage. So that's what a lot of these were used for. But yeah, and I think most of those have now been converted to be race car haulers, just like this one. But yeah, what a great thing that is. Quite the gaggle of MGs here. Latish MGTFs, earlier MGAs over there. MGC here, different front on it. Very unusual conversion to the front end on that one. Various MGs, MGB GT V8 over there, well, MG 1100 here. Let's have a quick wander around here. Early Mini Minus, that's the Morris badged version. I think the Morris came out before the Austin, if I remember correctly. Rubber bumper MGB GT. The MG Magnet, the sporting saloon of the 1950s with a B series engine. Great looking car they are. The MGB Roadster, the ZR hatch over there next to the TF. All sorts here today. Right, let's carry on back to those Daimlers that are just over the way over there. Past the lovely drop head, we've got a pair of the SP250s, the Daimler Darts with a 2.5 litre V8 engine. The engine designed by the same chap that did the engine for the Majestic Major, the 4.5 litre V8, but this is the 2.5. I wonder if the 4.5 would actually fit in one of these. These must go pretty well. Fiberglass body, quite interesting styling, not necessarily for everyone. And if I can just scoot along here. Incredible Daimler there.
There you are. And so I mentioned that to the club.
And then here, V8 250 and another SP 250. Very different looking cars, same engine. And the 2000 estate back there, and a whole gaggle of Tribe TR7s, some of them Roadsters, the drop head coupes, some of them the fixed head coupes. Just to begin with, they were all fixed head coupes, which did wind up lots of the traditional TR fans who were used to open top TR6s, 5s, 4As and 4s before that. But the design of these was largely dictated by the American safety regulations of the era. TR7 Sprint here. This is one of very few cars fitted with a Dolly Sprint 16 valve engine, and it was quite late into production when Triumph finally introduced the drop head version of the TR7. Yeah, does a car look any more 1970s than that? I do quite like the look of those. 3.5 litre TR8 here, left hand drive. I think they're all left hookers. And then this is the TR5 with a fuel injected 2.5 litre. That unit went on to be fitted to the later TR6. Stag here. Herald convertible. That's a Herald 1200. Someone's put LED lamps in that one. And over here, a Mark III GT6 in immaculate condition. Now, I know quite a few people who watch my videos do like some of these later cars, some of the Austin Rover era cars, the Maestros and the Montegos. Got a Montego estate here, the 2 litre LXI. Let's carry on along here, past the MG Montego. There's an 85 Montego there. Several of these are restored, some are still work in progress. Another estate here, and an earlier estate. So yeah, two different eras, got slightly different grille treatment and badges, etc. So this is the Countryman edition. So that's recalling the name as used on the earlier Austin estates, the Countryman name. The Montego Turbo, the Montego GSI. I'm seeing this many estates together. Quite an early one on an A plate, that is. God, there must be so few of those left now. Let me know in the comments if you've ever owned one of these cars. This is a really late example of the Montego. MG Maestro Turbo there. Another one there. A Y plate, complete with the old dealer number plates on it, which is good to see. Your Nick Sunshine, the Maestro based van. Now, Rover 600 aren't cars that you see all that often nowadays. There is a maroon one that we see driving around occasionally back near OCCHQ. I'm not entirely sure which model it is, but there's certainly loads of them here today. Again, I've never seen so many in one place before. We're back to Montegos. That's one of the posh ones with the extra stripes down the side, the Van den Plast version. And the rare Montego Turbo, another MG Montego Turbo, about 1987. MG Maestro Turbo. Apparently they were a bit of a handful, lots of parts for sale. And back to this pair of Maestro vans. Lots of older Range Rovers here. We've got some P38s over the back. We've got the classic, so-called classic Range Rovers here. 5-door and presumably some of the earlier 3-doors. Yeah. Let's have a quick look around here. I think next we are going in the direction of a gathering of Rover 800s. Let's see what we've got here. We've got one of the rare coupe versions here. These are the facelifted cars with a different grille arrangement compared to the earlier ones. Are there any of the earlier ones here? Not sure actually. Very reminiscent of the earlier SD1s in many ways. Let's just continue our gentle stroll along the rows. Here we've got the little Riley Elf, all sorts of cars down here. We've got some BL era cars there, some slightly later ones down here. Got the MG ZR, based on the Rover 25. Netherlands registered MGTFs, both left-hand drive of course. Great to see all these foreign registered cars come over especially for this event presumably. And here, a 2-door Rover Sterling. So that's quite an unusual car. Now the Sterling was the posh one. In front of that you got the Vitesse. And here is that A55 van-based ambulance. So this looks like a works ambulance, a private ambulance. Press Steel Company division, Oxford. Press Steel did the body shells for BL, BMC before that. So maybe this was their works ambulance. I can see an information sheet around here. Austin A60, ambulance. Van started in 1964, arrived at Press Steel Company at Cowley, now the BMW Mini plant at Oxford. Wow. Its main duties at Cowley were to transport the many working drawings used at the plant around the various offices. Wow. And then later it was converted into being an ambulance. If you'll have a read of the blurb there, just pause the video for a moment. Yeah, what a great vehicle. Amazing that one survived at all, actually, isn't it? Now we are very much in the BL era. Morris Marina here, the 1.8 Special. This was really pretty much the top of the tree when it came to the UK market. Metallic paint, vinyl roof, incredible condition. And over to Allegro corner, we've got various Allegros here, some with the single lamps. I think these were the Allegro 3s with the two circular lamps either side. Another mate of mine's mum bought a brand new estate version of one of these. Bright orange it was. I wonder if there'll be one like that here today. And back to Morris Marinas. What memories do you have of Morris Marinas or the later Morris Itals that came along? This is looking like a pretty whizzy one with these stripes and the vinyl roof, the LE. The Marina TC. Got one of the later versions here, then the Morris Ital just along the way here, which was like an evolution, I suppose, of the Marina that came before. The family link is pretty obvious. Different front end, lots of different detail differences. Another green coupe here, and a much earlier coupe right on the end of the row. As we are in Marina Alley, let's carry on round here. We've got a Marina-based pickup. Got some bits and bobs for sale here, £10 each. Quite like this hooter. The towel here. The Marina Estate on an S plate. That's a very clean looking example. Very practical classic too. Yeah, all sorts here. Fantastic pickup over the end here in the BLMC livery, so British Leyland Motor Companies, so that was sort of the interim name, bridging BMC and then what would become British Leyland. Yeah, it's great to see that one here. And over on the back row, a trio of different marinas headed up by this estate. A four-door saloon. And another one of the fairly upmarket versions. I might have to cheat and look at the badge on the back just to remind myself which version this is. But yeah, vinyl roof, head restraints, automatic gearbox. Picnic set in the back, of course. Now in 2023 I came to the classic and vintage lorry meeting here at Gaydon. And while I was here I did a video while walking around the museum itself and also the Jaguar Daimler Heritage Collection, which is housed in that silver modern building over the back there, and also the reserve collection for the main British Motor Museum also resides in that building over there. Now I have done separate videos about both of those, so whether I'll get in there today or not I'm not quite sure, because there's so much to see outside here. I think what I will probably do is include links to those older videos at the end of this one. So if you want to see what it's like inside the British Motor Museum here at Gaydon, I suggest you probably have a look at those videos when you're done with this one. But yeah, there's some real treats here today at Gaydon. Anyway, where were we? Right, we had a look at the Minis, including this 64 Mini parking up before. Things for sale, or are they just on display? Don't know. Ooh, look at these. Old keys, books, some old Monty Rally plaques. Very nice. So I've just had a battery error message, so let's have a quick look around here just in case these didn't come out before when I recorded it. But a fantastic Herald coupe here. This one with the ribbed roof. Some of them had the smooth roofs, so there was two versions. I think the smooth roof was earlier, and then they revised it to this later ribbed affair. We've got Healy 3000, Morris Cooper S, Racing MG Midget, Mark II Mini over here. Those ones we had a look at a little earlier. I'll just try and feature a bit of everything if I can. Roof vent, this was a thing of the works, big Heelys. It was originally seen in the Austin A30 and A35 vans, and indeed the minivans later, and that's where that came from. Rally prepared Maxi over here, the Triumph 2500, the Mark II. We'll have a look at the Farina stand in a moment. Yeah, I'm amazed how many of these 1800s are still around, the rally prepared versions. Let's keep going down here. Look at this, how original is this? London to Sydney Marathon, 1968. Prepared by Special Tuning. This one looks so original, the paint. Looks really, really original looking car, this one. God, how many switches.
Well, the original one was 16.
Remains of the old BMC Special Tuning transfer on the front wing. It's always good to see that. Thankfully it hasn't been repainted. There's such a variety of cars here today at the BMC BL day. Right, let's go and have a look at some big Farinas. Look at this, fantastic, the Vanden Plas. Now is this the 3 litre or the 4 litre R? I can never remember which is which from the front. It's the 3 litre, this one. Yeah, the Princess 3 litre. The 4 litre R has sort of horizontal lamps on the back. Yeah. Very, very nice. These are a little bit bigger again compared to your Austin Cambridges and your Morris Oxfords. Very luxurious indeed. It's got His Master's Voice radio in this one. Wood dash, leather trim, very nice. Real great wafter. Probably not one for the corners, but great car to waft about in. And look at this over here in Austin Westminster. We saw this one at Ragley Hall, I believe it was. I had a quick chat with the owner of this one just, I think it was in June this year, 2024. It was lovely to see this one there with the Princess at the end here. With the 3 litre, I think. So let's carry on up here. Very, very nice too. So, Morris Oxford. This one looks to be in fine condition. So if you're looking at a side view of one of these, maybe in an old photograph or something, if it's got that little stainless strip along the top of the sill, and it doesn't have the original wheels with the Morris hubcap, you can tell that this is the Morris Oxford because the Austin Cambridge didn't have that strip down there. So if nothing else, that's a bit of an identifier. Yeah. Very nice. It's got the old RAC running in label in the back window. You remember seeing those. Whenever you'd fit a reconditioned engine, you'd often put a running in sticker in the back window. Would have been a Gold Star engine if you'd gone to your local BMC garage for a reconditioned engine. But that's in beautiful condition, beautiful maroon condition, that one. Very, very nice. Great to see the original plate on it as well. Now what's this? Is this a 4? This is a 472. So this was a little bit later than the early 468. The UJ818C, so that's a 1965 reg. The Riley version of the Farina range. So the Austin Westie over there. God, so much to see here. And look at this A40 pickup. Now when we were looking at that one, the immaculate maroon and creamy brown example in the Austin service colours. I was saying that the later ones had the painted grille, a slightly different grille, and that's what we're looking at here. This one actually has the saloon car wheels on it without the reinforcement around the edge of the rim. Maybe the wings are off a saloon as well. But yeah, it's great. I love the shape of these. I just think they're great looking little pickups with those removable rear spats. On later pickups and vans, the rear arch no longer was separate, so on those you can remove those panels to get the spare wheel, to get the wheel off if you need to change your wheel. But on the later ones, they had like a larger wheel opening, and it was all integral with the body. But yeah, I just think they are great looking little pickups. And there's that Westminster, fantastic looking car, very purposeful looking on those what look to be slightly bigger wheels. We've got an A60 Cambridge here from 1964. Another Austin Westminster. Oh, blimey. Another 6-cylinder Austin Westminster. Another Morris Oxford here. That one on an H plate, so quite a late one, about 1970. Another A60 here. Lots of different styling and evidence here with all these different variations of the Farina theme. Pininfarina also designed the Peugeot 404, which was very similar looking to these cars. So this is a 61. So this is Bermuda Blue. I remember these used to be everywhere, even when we used to go on holiday, say in Wales, in the 1980s. You'd see loads of these around. I think there were some fairly large BMC dealers over in North Wales, and you'd see these running around well into the 1980s, but they've all disappeared now. They've all gone into, well, we used to stay near Llandudno, and there's a big scrapyard there that we used to go into called Arch Motors. And I think a lot of the Farina range that used to be driving around the roads of Conway, Colwyn Bay, Rhyl, Abergele, Llandudno, all those sort of places on the North Wales coast, I think most of them ended up in Arch Motors, sadly. And here we've got another Austin Apache and an MGB Roadster. Let's carry on along the front row now. Another Morris Oxford on the road style wheels. This one they've been fitted in more recent times. Is this an MG engine, or has it just got an MG rocker cover on it? Not quite sure, but it's got twin carbs on it, just like an MG. So maybe this is an MGB engine, who knows? Either way, yeah. Of course, the MGB engine was just a slightly larger, the 1800cc version of the B series. And this, now this is nice. Another example of the A55 Cambridge Mark II. So the 59 to 61, and its original registration number with the big fins. So that was the real difference between sort of the early Cambridges and Oxfords compared to the later cars. Yeah, what a great colour scheme as well. Proper Bobby Dazzler. There's another one alongside it here. Again, the early big finned car. Oh, look at this. The estate version of the A60 Cambridge. So what's this? The A60 Countryman, no less. Complete with sun visor as well, and today you would actually need it, whereas most of the time it just keeps the rain off. Today it would actually serve its purpose. Yeah, what a beauty that is. As you may have spotted, I'm a bit of a sucker for an old estate car, and old Austins and Morrises in general. So an old Austin or Morris estate, that would go down very, very well here with us. Yeah, what a belter that is. A60 here. BOAC, there's a blaster in the past, pre-British Airways, the British Overseas Airways Corporation. They used to operate VC-10s, magnificent looking aircraft made at the Vickers factory at the Brooklands Motor Racing Circuit. And we are back to the big Princesses, this lovely two-tone Westminster, and the 3-litre Princess over here next to the Rover Metro. Clearly still lots more to see. Let's carry on along here past these phenomenal Farinas. We have Rover 75s and a little boxy 213 SX over there. Maxi here, the 1750 HL on what looked to be a Triumph 2000 saloon or possibly even stag wheels. I'm not quite sure. Maybe some of the late MG limited editions of the MGB had those as well. So I'll go down here past the little mini Metro. More minis, got MGFs at the back. Rover 45s, the ZTT and the Rover 75 estate on which it is based. There's a Triumph TR6 just driving in. What do we have lurking over here? An Austin K9. Very, very nice. So this was the militarised version of the old Austin Lodestar. This one's got a radio body on the back as ex-army. I do like these. Just think those are great looking little trucks, not too big either. They'll fit on the standard driveway. I think more people should have them on their standard driveway because they're such characterful old things. Go anywhere in one of these, no one's going to cut you up in that. And a lot of these, the rear bodies have been converted into living accommodation as well. Now back to British Leyland and the whole gaggle of Leyland princesses here. All sorts of different variants, some of them with the two circular lamps either side, some of the, I think the more upmarket versions of these, I can't remember what you call them, trapezoidal, is that the word? Very jazzy metallic paint, fancy wheel covers, tinted windows, vinyl roof, all the signs of the posh ones. I well remember these in the local Reeds of Cheadle garage that I used to regularly frequent to go and nab some brochures from. I've still got all those back at home. This is quite an early one, this one, on a P registration. Different grille treatments, different lights and grills depending on the era and the model. Well, this one looks super early. Something about this one, maybe it's the lack of vinyl roof or certainly the lack of vinyl on the rear quarters. Makes me think this is quite an early one. You would have thought a car of this shape, it would be a hatchback, but no, this is a saloon. The rear window is fixed and the boot lid is that bit there. I kind of think it does lend itself to being a hatchback like the later Ambassador was. God, how clean is that? Maybe it would have been too close a rival to the Austin Maxi, which they also had on sale at the time. So let's carry on down here. Many more princesses, and this, the Wolseley, the Wolseley 1822, I believe this was called. Very, very rare car. In fact, there's two of them. There's another one over there, and I seem to remember there were a couple in the museum itself here as well. And this probably accounts for, well, pretty much all the survivors, because there must be single-figure survivor rates for these Wolseley versions of the Princess. Absolutely incredible. They've got a funny little grille on the front. Oh yeah, how crazy is that? Plush velour interior armrest for the driver and the passenger. Automatic gearbox. Wow. There's your little Wolseley grille with the illuminated badge. Such a rare car. And there's a Morris. Actually, that's a Morris alongside it, isn't it? Not the Wolseley.
Yes, it drops down.
So it's the Morris, but I was just looking at this grille. I was assuming that it was another one of these, but it's not. You learn something new every day. Yeah. And this is the Austin Ambassador, which was a development of the Princess, and this had the full opening hatchback. There's another Princess here. Great to see these. I remember in the early 90s I visited a scrapyard in Hanley near Stoke-on-Trent, and there must have been a rows about 3 high, all of Princesses. I mean, I'm sure in other parts of the yard there's similar piles of Allegros and Minis and so on. But for some reason it's the row of Princesses that I remember. There were loads of them, 3 or 4 high, huge long row. It was quite the sight. Such a shame really that so few survive. The Austin A60 Cambridge here and the MG Magnet. That was a sporty one. With the Westminster here, bit of a work in progress. Most of the paint looks really original on it actually. And the Princess alongside it, another 3 litre. Over here we've got the Austin Gypsy, so this was BMC's answer to the Land Rover, but all steel bodywork, so these things tended to rot out pretty quickly. And here, of course, the Mini 1275 GT, MGC GT, 3 litre straight 6 in that one. And we've got several earlier cars here representing Riley, so this is not really BMC, but Riley did eventually come under the wing, I suppose, of BMC, but these are from when Riley was still very much its own company. But yeah, what a treat to see them here today. I do like old pre-war saloons, I must admit. You see loads of Taurus and sporty variants, but the saloons not so much. Lovely Tourer here, beauty. And look at a quick peek under the bonnet there. Dinky little SU carburettors. So there's the fuel tank. So gravity feed from here down into the respective float chambers. A vertical magneto at the front providing the spark. Yeah. Great cars. What car? The saloon there is that Monaco. Could be a Riley 9 Monaco. Got a post-war Riley, the 2.5 litre Riley RM. So this has got the bigger of the 2 engines. You can always tell that because the badge on the grille is pale blue as opposed to dark blue, which is the 1.5. But this is the 2.5 litre car. Quite the big engine there, packed in under that bonnet. Some old Esso oil change stickers as well. We like a bit of that. Okay, now we are back to the British Leyland BMC era. Various sprites and midgets along here. Got a Sebring sprite. Very nice too, so this probably started out life as a frog eye. Very different front end on it now. And that's nice. Look at the hardtop on that one. Very sleek. Oh, not used to this sun. Now what's this? Is this an Arkley? I've got a feeling it might be. Oh, it is, sorry. It says down here, Arkley SS. It's an interesting little sort of kit car, home-built type car with, I think the middle bit is midget. If you look at those doors and the windscreen and the scuttle is midget, and a different tail and a different front on it. But you can see the sprite sills, the midget type sills along there. And if you can compare it to this standard body car alongside, you can see what I'm going on about. Many things different under the bonnet of this one. Great to see all these here today. It's an excellent turnout of Rover 200s and 400s here, and the later in the MG versions. We've got the Rover Streetwise here, which was a lifted up version of the little Rover hatchback. Another one there. The Rover 400 series saloon. MGTD, the post-war TD. Someone's got a 52 tax disc in the window. Very nice too. And here are the Maxis. We've got a whole gaggle of Maxis, early ones and late ones. This is a fairly late one. Like I say, the early ones had the cable gear change on them, but later ones they got rid of that. MG's TT pickup version of the little Metro. And the van, the Metro, is that the 310, I think they call those. Quite an early now. Is this an MG Metro or is it just an early Metro that happens to have the MG wheels on it? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, plenty of Metros here today, and later Rover 100s I've seen as well. MG Metro there, immaculate engine, transverse A+ engine, 1275cc. Let's carry on along here, see what other gems we can spot from the days of BMC and later British Leyland. We mentioned Van der Plas 1500s many minutes ago, and here is one, a goldy coloured VDP 1500. So this replaced the old 1300 base VDP, obviously based on the Allegro, but the word Allegro never appeared in the sales brochure for these. It was always VDP or Van der Plas 1500, complete with picnic tables in the rear, wood dash, quite swanky interior trim, and a 5-speed gearbox no less. It's great to see so many older cars being preserved. There's a little Wolseley version of the 1100. Yeah, it's great to see there's such a big following for all these old car events, meetings, gatherings like this, all-day meetings, the evening meetings, breakfast meetings, all that kind of thing. There's a great little MG Metro there. The Metro Van der Plas, the posh one. Because Van der Plas used to be a coach builder in its own right, and then at some point BMC or BL acquired the rights to the VDP name, and they stuck that to the posh versions of quite a few of their different cars over the years. Got an early MG Metro over there, bit of cleaning going on this one. Rover P6s, we haven't seen any of those yet today. So we've got a 2200 SC, so 2.2 litre with a single carb. This is one of the facelifted cars. Very tidy example indeed. Very nice too. It's got a V8, or a pair indeed of V8s alongside that. Next to this very clean MGB Roadster, we have this. Now, is this it's on a G plate, so I'm guessing, is this a real one? It could be. By the way, very nice. Cobra 289. So the Cobra before they went all fat with the huge arches and shoehorned the 427 in. So this would have had the 289 cubic inch engine. And we've got an E-Type, a Series 2, 2+2. So it's a Series 2 with a 4.2 litre engine. Slightly longer wheelbase, higher roof, and an extra pair of seats in the back. That's a left-hand drive, this one as well. Various Rovers down here as well. A little Honda on which the Rover 400 was based. Lots more things for sale. Never have too many things for sale. Right, I think we've done that row over there. That was all the Rover 800s and the Rover 600s there, and Maestros and Montegos were down there. So let's carry on. Look at this. Wow, V8 badge, MGC bonnet. That looks like it means business. I do like that. I know someone else who would like that as well. That looks pretty bonkers. Look at the size of the wheels and tyres on the back of that. That does look like a bit of fun. So it's got the flared arches, a bit like the MGC GTS coupe that we saw before, but this one is clearly a roadster. There's a sticker for the Automobile Club de l'Ouest in the window, the organising group behind the Le Mans 24 Hour. Yeah. That's a pretty groovy bit of kit. Okay, let's carry along here. More Rover goodness. 25s, 45s. These little 200 series. Who remembers keeping up appearances with Hyacinth Bouquet on TV? And her much nagged husband used to drive one of those. Let's carry on down here. Much more Rover action along the way here. Various saloons and hatchbacks. Rover 800 Club is, well, it's over here, so there's some over the other side and there's some here as well. Quite a few turbos, the 3 doors at the 220 turbos. And look at all these Rover 200 BRMs, all these limited edition BRM versions of the Rover 200 series hatch. Now over here we have the Austin 3 litres. So these were a lengthened evolution, I suppose, of the Austin 1800, the Austins and the Morrises that we saw before. These are the posh ones. Yeah, quite an elegant looking car, but they didn't sell very well at all. So they weren't all that common a sight even back in the 1970s, and now there are very few left, especially very few left that are on the road. But they're quite a decent looking car, and I always like the shape of the back end of these. They've got very curvy rear lights on them. I just always thought that was really nicely done, that rear end styling. Look at this ambulance version over here, wow. There was a tatty one of these at the NEC at the restoration show not that long ago. Just look at the little bell, ding ding there. And what a beauty, that is in maroon. That in fantastic condition. And another one here, absolutely immaculate. This one's for sale. There's the big inline straight six, fed by a pair of SU or Skinner's Union carburettors. Yeah. On the end of this row of rare 3 litres we have another Austin Ambassador. Appear to be a few Leyland Sherpas and later derivatives, the LDVs. So there is a very original looking Leyland Sherpa. These were a replacement for the, let me think, the BMC JU250 and the J4 before that rather. The J2 was before that as well. Yeah. The Leyland Sherpa. Occasionally you see the camper van versions, and in fact there is one behind this van. But these panel vans, did they all have these side opening doors, or was that an option? I actually passed this on the motorway somewhere. It was in convoy, I think, with a Mini. Yeah. Quite a handy thing for a day like this. Yeah. Now, am I right in thinking it was the Sherpas or the LDV that came after was the only van that was available with different widths? Now, I'm sort of winging it a bit here. I'm not quite sure if that's the case with the Sherpas or it was the LDVs, but there's one of them. And whereas different wheelbases and payloads and things and even body heights were quite a common thing with transits and CF, Bedfords and all that kind of thing. But I think it was only these that you could buy different width vehicles, but I might have to look that one up. I'm doing my best not to miss any area out, but it's quite a big site this, so let's see what we've got here. 3.5S, the P6, so 3500S. Tells us that this is a manual gearbox version of the V8 3.5 litre P6, and that made for a very nice car indeed. This one's quite a late one on an R plate, not long before the SD1 came along. It's got a tinted glass, pop-up sunroof in it, vinyl roof. Construction wise these were very similar to the old Citroen DS in that all these panels can be unbolted, which is unusual. Like in older cars, like up until the 50s, it was quite common to be able to unbolt a wing, even on the Morris Minors. But by this point in time, it was a bit more unusual. But you can unbolt the front wings, obviously the doors, the roof panel unbolts. These rear little panels here, back wings, obviously the boot lid doors, that kind of thing. So that's why it's really important to check the structure of one of these. If you're looking at buying one, don't just buy one that's got a shiny paint finish, actually have a proper prod underneath. Make sure that the structure itself is okay. This is where you could buy the optional kit to mount your spare wheel on the boot lid of the P6. That mounting would go there instead of the Viking badge that you can see there. So, yeah, very, very neat. Quite a lot of Nuffield Group vehicles up on the raised car park up there. I think that's where most of the Morris Minors are. There's quite a few Wolsleys up there as well, so we must make sure we get around there before we're done. Quite a few Minis along here. There's never going to be a shortage of Minis here today. There's those Rover 220 turbos. An Austin Cooper from 1964, a Mark 1, and a couple of the factory offered convertible versions of the Mini. So these are proper dealer options, or rather offered by Rover Group dealers, as opposed to homemade hatchet jobs. So these are the real deal. The auto jumble area, I think I'll have a closer look at this once I've been around all the cars. It could just be something we need. Lots of old Lucas boxes, lots of old Bulb boxes as well. So we'll definitely try and fit in a look around here before we finish up. Right, let's carry on over there because I can spy some more Triumphs over on the banking. Here we are, the Triumph 2500 Register. So we have seen a few big Triumphs already. Mark 1s and Mark 2s. We've got more examples over here. Great Mark 1 here on some pretty hefty looking Mini-like wheels. Very smooth cars these are, and a magnificent estate. How cool is that on those wheels? It's a very sharp looking car indeed. I do like that one a lot. Subtly flared rear arches on this one as well, to accommodate those pretty hefty rims. Mark 1 2.5 PI, another one of those. It's a rare old girl. Early Mark 2 there. The earlier front compared to the later Mark 2s. Bonnet up on this one. And the reason for that is it's got a Stag V8 in it. So that was never a factory offering, but it does fit in there pretty nicely. You'd think that was a factory offering, wouldn't you, really? Yeah, that's excellent. Most excellent. Another Mark 1 PI there. Wow. A TR250, so that was the American market version of the TR5. Our TR5s had the Lucas fuel injection, but the export cars ran on carburetors. This one's been brought back and converted to right-hand drive. So this would be the perfect spec for me. I'd be quite happy with 2 or 3 carburetors and a big 2.5 litre engine in my TR. I'm sure the fuel injection is great, but it looks a lot more fiddly to keep working correctly. Loads of TRs along here. The TR register stand. A great turnout of various eras of TR along here. TR3A, pale blue one, that's a nice one. Right, let's carry on over here. And in here, the TR250, American spec, but converted to right-hand drive. Now, regulars to the channel will recognise this one. This one gets all over the place to meetings nearer to base. BRE 642D, a Triumph TR4A, an immaculate dark blue example Yeah, you'll have seen this one at the Combermere, all sorts of meetings that we get to, so yeah, it's nice to see some of the cars here today that we see back at base, but here somewhat further afield than usual. Right, we're now in the car park area, and we have the 1100 Club MG there, very nice too. Another estate with the wood down the side. That's the Morris 1300. Another little Morris, but much earlier one. Again, the estate alongside that. It's great to see them two here. The 4-door MG 1100 over here on a C plate. That's a 65, and this is a slightly later one here. We've got a 2-door here and a 4-door in red alongside that. Now over here, representing the pre-BMC days for Austin, we have the Austin 10 Drivers Club stand, and yeah, a bit quieter over this side, but a lovely array of cars. We've got an Austin 6 here, late 1930s Austin 6. We've got an Austin 10 Cambridge here. Done up in the livery of the Royal Air Force. These date to about 37ish, 38. Austin 10-4 Clifton Tourer, it says on the information board. Very nice, nice little car, that, complete with a dicky seat in the rear. Magnificent Austin 6 here, somewhat earlier. Another bonny little Austin saloon there. So what's that, Litchfield, I think. I'm not sure about this one. This is a special bodied car, the 10-4. This I think is a Litchfield, which was a later version of the Chrome Rad 10-4. So they had the 32 to 34 chrome radiator cars, and then they received the painted radiator surround that you see here, like on the Austin 7 Ruby, and these were renamed the Austin 10-4 Litchfield. Not known here. Look at this taxi version. Wow. Now, what model is that? I'm going to have to cheat and look at the screen, because that's got 6 light bodywork. Litchfield is just the 2 windows per side, or 4 light, and this is a 6 light, so let's cheat and see what we're looking at. So this is the 10-4 Sherborne. Before I head away, let's just have a look at this special coach built Austin here. I've just noticed there was a little bit of information in the window. The 1935 Gordon Pixie Vitesse. Now, I have seen this somewhere before, possibly. Maybe it was at the NEC. So the Pixie was the model name, 150 built by Gordon Coach Builders of Sparkbrook. Vitesse, not exactly Vitesse, French for speed, I believe. Yeah, lovely. Very unusual shape of body on this one. Moving to more recent times, well, only slightly more recent times, a huge gathering of Rover SD1s. Just have a quick amble around here. Very rakish, very sleek looking cars. I think that's my favourite, bright red Vitesses with a spoiler on the back, spoiler on the front. I think they're great looking cars. TWR, as a reminder, Tom Walkinshaw Racing, they used to prepare some of the race SD1s back in the day. Very sleek looking cars, shades of Ferrari Daytona with the front end styling on these machines. Build quality did let them down a little bit, and arguably they weren't as advanced as maybe the P6 that came before, but it was still a very striking looking car. There was no shortage of imagination within British Leyland in the 1970s. They did come up with some amazing cars, and concept cars especially, but for whatever reason they often weren't put together particularly well at all, and some of the dealer support was less than ideal too, so they really let the side down, because like I say, there were so many interesting designs floating around British Leyland, BLMC before that in the late 60s and into the 1970s, but you know, sadly it's all gone now. This is quite a rare one actually. Very vivid metallic green. Is this the V8S? I don't know my SD1s very well. Yes, it is. Very eye-catching car. I like the way the instrumentation was just in like a pod on the top, and you could sort of, I think the idea was that on left-hand drive cars you could move the whole pod to the other side of the dash with minimal retooling required. There's the 1100s over there, and a few more SD1s for good measure over here. I do like a nice 50s Wolseley, and here we have two examples of the Wolseley 1550. So these are quite a rare variant. These were basically the Wolseley 444, but instead of the, I think it was the X-Pag engine that were fitted in these, the Nuffield design going way back, these had the BMC B series engine in them, just like the MG Magnet did, albeit not with the twin carburetors. So I think if we look under the bonnet of this 1550 we should see the good old B series. There we go, the Wolseley 1550. So one of these was on the potential shopping list when we were looking to buy a 50s saloon just a little while ago. Not too many of them around, especially in this condition. But especially with the B series engine, it'd make for a very usable car, I think. Quite a handsome looking machine indeed, designed by Gerald Palmer. Lovely interior. The original leather seating in there, hope you can see that. Yeah, I do like the shape of these. Really smart looking car. Proper 1950s Brit. And here's a slightly larger version of Wolseley 690. This was the kind of thing that various police forces may have had throughout the 1950s, maybe replacing the older 680s that they used to have. Yeah, let's have a look at the Wolseley 690, built 1954 to 1959. This is a 1956 Series 1 model. BMC C Series, straight 6, 2.6 litre. Beautiful car. Lovely dash. You probably can't see it unfortunately, but there's a really nice BMC fire extinguisher just to the left of that vent in the middle of the dash. Really nice. Again, great looking cars. Such a shame that so few of them are still around. Looks like the old tax disc holder has given up. I just saw it fall off. The old suction tax disc holders in the hot sun, because they rely on like suction on the rubber, they tend to fall off, and I just saw that one. There it is, it's on the floor down there, the 1956 tax disc. At least it's safe there, it's not going to go anywhere. Right, now we've got the Wolseley 1300 alongside that. Well, it says Wolseley, but it also says Van den Plas, so which one is it? There was the VDP version and there was a Wolseley version, but what's this one? So it is a Wolseley. Maybe it's got the interior of a VDP in it. Anyway, quite an early Wolseley 1500 here. So it's got the 1489 cc B series engine. Lovely two-tone trim to match the two-tone paintwork. Great little cars based on the floor pan of the Morris Minor. So rack and pinion steering makes for a very drivable, very usable car. And the Wolseley 1660. The Wolseley version, a slightly more upmarket version of the Morris Oxford and the Austin Cambridge, and alongside that, the good old MGB Roadster chrome bumpers. Now we appear to be in Morris Minor Alley. There are many moggies to choose from. Two-door saloons, four-door saloons, Series 2s, I'm sure they're all here, including the Travellers. But what would you need if you were going to buy one of these? Well, perhaps back in the 1960s you would have bought one of these. This little pack of car care cards is the Jack Brabham car care cards, allowing you to service your Morris Minor 1000. There's a whole series of these were produced in the 1960s. Jack Brabham, of course, world champion 3 times, including in a car of his own make, behind the wheel of a Brabham Grand Prix car. And that would have been, so let's see, so he won 3 times, 1959, 1960 and 1966. Okay, so I'll have a quick look around here, quick battery change later. I'm getting through a few batteries today. Great moggy convertible there, lovely 2-door in pale green. I do like this colour. I did used to remember what that colour was, but not anymore. So I'm guessing this is probably about 59 or 60. It's a Morris 1000, still with a clap hand wipers, right, 1957. Yeah. So yeah, we see lots of Morris Minors at the shows we go to, so we'll just have a quick dash around. Somewhat modified pickup over there, somewhat lowered Morris Minor Traveller on wider banded steel wheels. I know the vans had slightly wider wheels, but I don't think they were that wide. Another great Traveller there. Morris Minor 1000 on the left plate. I have another one here. I think this is Rose Taupe. Someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that one, please. Yeah, I do like the 4 doors. I think the side on, the 4 doors, is just a slightly more balanced design than the 2 doors, although I know not everyone agrees. Because I mean, these are more practical with the longer doors, does give you a bit more room for clambering in and out. Style wise, I just prefer the 4 doors myself. And this is a lovely one, I do like that, nice colour as well. And on the end here, next to this, so what is this? Sort of late 50s Moggy 1000. A police car, no less. Now, if this is a real one, it should have like a little zip in the headlining to allow access to that light box on the roof. Is it a real one? Yes, there it is. Yeah, very, very good. Nice to see a proper one. There are 1 or 2 replicas around, but this appears to be the real deal, and quite a late one as well. You can often tell late Morris Minors because they have silver wheels as opposed to the old English white that you usually see on these. Where have we seen this well-travelled one before? Well, I've seen it at the Middlewich Classic Car Show, and that's coming up very, very soon, at the time of recording anyway. And it says we've also seen this at the NEC. So we'll carry on down here. What a gaggle. Mainly Morris 1000s of the 1960s. A great looking little Traveller there. Here we have a Series 2, and so the split windscreens. Let's have a closer look at that. Very, very nice too. It's on an age related registration number. Split screen, the clap hand wipers. So these came out about 53 or 54 to replace the Highlight MM. Very characterful. I like the interiors and the dashboards in these. Yeah. Great little car that is. An Austin badged pickup, complete with the squiggly, the Austin grille. That was just to appease Austin dealerships in the 1960s and into the 1970s, because there's still a lot of brand loyalty, so people would buy an Austin but they wouldn't buy a Morris even though it was the same vehicle. So let's carry on down here. LED lamps on that one. And wow, look how original this one is. Wow, another Series 2. This is a fairly early Series 2 with a cheese grater grille from the Highlight MM. And this has got the long bonnet on it by this point in time, because the early ones had a slightly shorter bonnet. And I think the bonnet sort of ended like here, I think. If we see an early Moggy, I'll have a look. But yeah, how original is the paint on that? What a treat, I love that. Original registration plates, just as were fitted to the car in the, so what year is this, 54, 55, something like that. By all accounts, the metal on these was better than on the later cars. So yeah, I would definitely go for one of these. I used to have an MM, one of the last of the Highlight MMs of 52, that someone had retrofitted the later BMC A-Series engine in. This would have had, probably still has, the A-Series, the 803cc A-Series engine that made its debut in the rival Austin A30. But BMC decided to shovel it under the bonnet, the large bonnet of the Morris Minor, and it worked very, very well indeed. Yeah, what a great little car that is. I love that. Right, let's carry on down here. Very unusual green. I'm not sure if that's a factory colour, but great to see the proper registration and plates on it. I do like this shade of brown, I must admit. Very original Morris 1000 here, and a very late one as well, again with the silver painted wheels, which the later ones had, on an H plate, so about what, 1970ish, something like that. Very late example. And here, a pickup that someone's made out of a Morris Traveller. Of course, the original pickups and the vans had the separate chassis, whereas the Traveller did not. So this is sort of like a home-built version based upon the Woody Traveller. Well, I've yet to see an Austin A30 or an A35 or indeed the A40 Farina. Surely there'll be one or two of them here somewhere. And look at this Morris Oxford, the pre-Farina. Very, very nice car. Quite a rare old girl now. So the Oxford was a slightly posher one, and the Cowley was a little bit more basic with a bit less trim on it and so on. But again, proper lovely old plates on it. So yeah, really, really rare car, that one. I'll just have a bit of a scoot down here. MG and a midget over there, the MGB, a Rover Metro, Rover Bumper B there, quite a late one on the W Reg. MG TFs and a TF over there. Allegro over there, quite an early one. I love the MG Magnet, do like these, and again, original number plates. We like that. Really nice cars. I'll definitely have one of those. Let's carry on our little stroll down here. We've got an Austin Healey 3000. So what's this, a Mark II, I think? A Mark III. Wind-up windows by this point in time. Previously you had to make do with little clip-in side screens in the side there. And lovely Morris Minor over here, Series 2 Tourer. This would appear to be Rover 75 corner and the MG variant of. We'll have a quick walk up here. Obviously we tend to feature some of the older cars, so let's go and admire this A60 Cambridge, just resting here, partially shaded by these very welcome little trees. But yeah, nice one on the G plate, looks super clean, super straight. Got the correct sills on it, because sometimes the pattern sills don't have the cutouts for the jacking point on them. So that's something to look out for on these. Yeah, very neat. XKR over there, two of them in fact, three of them in fact. Little Vanden Plas there, little 1300, a Mini Sprite. There's one of the anniversary cars, came out in 1989, the Mini 30, the Mini Ritz, and the P6, the TC 2000, twin carb, 2 litre car. On wire wheels. Now, doesn't that look smart? Not every car suits wires, but I think that does. Minis over there. There's a Mark 1, two-tone Mark 1. A Cooper S alongside that. So what year is this then? South African originally, registered in Pretoria. Built up from a CKD or knockdown kit in Cape Town, South Africa. Wow. All original panels and never welded. By heck, you can't say that about most minis. So is this an Austin 7 or is it the Mini? Oh, this is badged the Austin 850, so that must have been a South Africa thing. Yeah, this was built up from a knockdown kit that was produced at Longbridge, presumably. Shipped over to South Africa and actually built up and welded together over there. Ah, there is an Austin A35 at last, an A35 and a C5. But yes, finally an Austin A35. We've seen quite a few Morris Minors here today. and a few cars from the Austin counties era, the Herefords, the Atlantic, the Somersets and the Devon era pickups. And not so many of these. I thought we'd have seen more of these here today, I must admit. This is A35, the 948cc engine. I really thought we'd see more of these, unless there is a stand for the A30 and the A35 club that I just haven't found yet. Let's keep going. So we've got an MGR V8, Mini Clubman Estate. What's this one? Another A35, this one on some pretty beefy looking Mini Light wheels. So that's two of them. And over here, an A30. I think that's the AS4 era, not the very first ones. But yeah, it's great to see. And it's in immaculate condition as well. So these still had the pop-up semaphore indicators, whereas the A35 had the flashing turn signals there below the headlights. The A30 didn't, it just had the pop-up semaphore trafficators that you can see here at the top of the B pillar. Yeah, great little car. 803cc, like I say. This is the car that the 803cc, the A series, first made its debut in, and that unit was lifted out and fitted to the Morris Minor. Right. Let's keep going along here, getting a little bit sparser now. Next to this 85 Mini, another Herald Coupe, by gum. Now this is interesting because this has no handle in the bonnet, but it has Herald as opposed to Triumph across the front. So I'm not quite sure what year we're looking at here. They came out in 59 as I remember, so this is probably 1959 or 1960, and again it's got the ribbed coupe roof. Maybe the smooth roof ones are even rarer than these, and these are pretty rare. Yeah, what a great looking car, very sharp looking, very sleek looking car, I think that is. Those coupe roofs really do look the part. Over here, what appears to be a Morris van, minivan. There's no vent in the roof, but I can't remember when the vent disappeared. And it has a teardrop caravan behind it. And the wood, presumably, is from one of the Traveller Estate versions of the Mini. Minis do look good on 10-inch Mini Light wheels, I think. Just looking over here, the MG ZT, the 260. Now that means something, because that means it's got the Mustang V8 engine. So Rover Group significantly re-engineered the 75 platform to accept the rear-wheel drive Mustang running gear. And this is a particularly rare car. It looks like any other MG ZT really. It's in beautiful condition, really glistening for a car that's 20 years old, or 20 plus years old now. This one's in great condition. That's a really rare bit of kit now. Hello, hello. What do we have here but the old Leyland FG with the threepenny bit cab? We've spoken about these before, so I won't repeat myself, but they've got this really distinctive door on the back sort of rear corner of the cab. Oh, yeah, very neat. We've seen this one here before. In fact, I'm not even convinced it moves. Clearly restored a few years ago, but fading a little bit now. There are one or two cars just starting to drift off. It's just after 2 in the afternoon now. I hear I believe there's a football match on this evening, so maybe lots of people will be setting off home for that. So I think we have actually managed to walk around most of the display areas here down at Gaydon, but obviously I'll just have a bit of a trawl around just in case I've missed anything.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're not supposed to smoke beyond the brand. Beyond the band.
I find myself walking back past this A90 Dropper Coupe, and I remember this one was loaded up with all the extra options that were available in the time, including electric windows and an electric power hood. So this really was quite whizzy for the era. 4 seats, amazing dashboard, just an incredible car, fully loaded, power hood. Did any other cars here in the UK have power hoods at the time? I'm not so sure. Clearly that's the sort of thing that the American buyer would have probably wanted and expected. But here in this country, wow. When at best many people were just dusting down and getting off bricks cars that had been laid up prior, or just at the beginning of the Second World War. To see a car like this going down the road must have been quite something. But saying that, most of these I think probably went for export. It was all export or die at the time, desperate to get in some foreign currency because the country was on its knees after the war and for many years after. So yeah, they wouldn't have expected to sell many of these in this country. Nearly all of these went for export, I'm sure. There's an interesting Riley-based special over here. Some pretty substantial brakes. The big drum brakes on the front of this. And what the story is with this, presumably started out life as a saloon or maybe a tourer, and was received a fairly sporting body in more recent times by the look of it. So it's 1932 Riley 9 basically, a 1087 cc. Interesting little car. I see the car that I thought may be a 9 is actually the slightly larger 10. Not sure what's going on here.
Anti-roll bar on the back, negative camera all way. I got a forward focus.
Apparently this is a VW VR6 engine shoehorned into the front of this Land Crab. Triple carburetors. I like the way it's been painted BMC green, just to make it blend in. Yeah, quite an unusual conversion, that one. Never seen that before. I'm just on my final tour round taking photographs of things that I want to photograph. I was just looking again at this beautiful red Mark II GT6 and I just noticed that actually the back lights are those from maybe like a TR3 or even one of the early Morris Minors apparently, possibly. They're slightly smaller than the factory lamps that were fitted to the early Spitfires and indeed the early GT6s. So if we have a look at this one, they are slightly chunkier. So, interesting little differences between these two great Triumphs. Well, I think things are just starting to wind down a little bit here at the BMC and BL day at Gaydon at the British Motor Museum. So I think we'll probably start wrapping this one up. I've walked around the entire site and I think we've seen most of the cars that are on display. Let me know in the comments which was your favourite or favourites. Which ones would you most like to take home with you? It's always interesting to read your comments on some of the cars featured here. If your car is in this video, and like I said before, please pop a note in and say hello in the comment section. This is the first time we've been here to one of these make or model specific gatherings. So actually, I tell a lie, I came to the mini gathering in 2019 with a friend of mine. But yeah, I know there are Ford rallies here as well, and also gatherings specific to Roots Group, so Hillmans, Humbers, Singers, Sunbeam, all that kind of thing. A bit of comma thrown in for good luck as well. So yeah, I think we'll probably wrap this one up now. What an incredible gathering it's been. I've never seen so many 1800s or even the BMC Farinas in one place before. So that's been just one of the many highlights of this classic car show. So thank you very much for watching this. I'm aware it's probably one of the longer videos again on the channel. I do try and cut them down a bit, but it seems a shame to cut things out, you know. So yeah, it's been a really interesting show. So if you haven't subscribed, please think about subscribing, give the video a like, leave a comment, check out the rest of the channel. If you've been here a little while, maybe have a look through some of the back catalogue, because there are hundreds and hundreds of videos on here now, and some of them might even be worth watching. So thank you very much, and there'll be many more videos along very soon. So bye for now. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, if you want to see some footage of the inside of the British Motor Museum over there, the reserve collection which is held over there alongside the Jaguar Daimler Heritage Trust collection, and I'll include links to those videos at the end of this one. I haven't had a chance to get in there today. There's simply been so much to look at in the main show area. Getting into one of the indoor museums, well, that just wasn't going to happen, I'm afraid. But hopefully the videos that I recorded in 2023 will describe things pretty much as they are at this moment in time.
That's a TF over there. In fact, there's two sit together there. The burgundy one is an MGF.
Yeah.
Next to this Volvo 240, a car that we didn't actually see an example of in the main show at all. The front wheel drive Triumph 1300 no less. This one looks super original. Very neat little car, very original looking paint on that one.